I'm Victor Fernandez of Fernandez Fit, and I'm here to show you why fitness is our business. Hello and welcome once again to the Healthy Lives, Healthy Business podcast, the show that helps busy professionals not just survive, but thrive in their demanding personal and professional lives by taking control of their health and well-being. I am your host, Victor Fernandez. Thanks for joining me as you do each and every week. I truly appreciate it. Now, if this is your first time listening to the show or watching on YouTube, welcome. All I want you to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. But if you've been following for a while, the second, third, fourth, umpteenth time, please hit that subscribe button. And of course, share this show far and wide because many more people need to learn that fitness is our business. And speaking of business, when our days are packed with back-to-back Zoom calls, or even more than that, meetings, deadlines, constant decision-making, and we make millions of decisions every day, it's easy to let an important component of our health and well-being slide, and that's our nutrition. Grabbing whatever's quick, skipping meals, and I know some of you out there, maybe more than some of you out there, do this, running purely on caffeine. It might feel like a solution in the moment, but long-term it drains our energy, fogs our brain, slows down our professional momentum, and that affects our ability to be at our best, not just professionally, but personally as well. So today on this show, I'm going to flip the script. I'm going to share simple, real-life nutrition tips that will help you stay energized, mentally sharp, and ready to crush the day without spending hours in the kitchen or surviving on rabbit food. Lord knows I did that for a long time. And really, it all begins with how we perceive our nutrition. And if you notice, I don't use the word diet. That's a four-letter word in my vocabulary, but I digress. We're going to begin with the mindset side of things. We all think about eating as a way to satiate hunger. We need to look at it from the perspective of using food as fuel. And because what we eat directly impacts how we think. And just like you wouldn't allow your gas tank to go empty in your car before filling it back up with gas, our brain needs high-quality foods to function at full capacity. That means steady energy, nutrients that support cognitive function, and meals that don't leave you crashing an hour later and looking for more. And a real quick tip, focus on balanced meals. You know me, that's how I roll. Thinking lean protein first and foremost, along with some healthy fats and complex carbohydrates. Now, not every meal needs to be perfect because frankly, I've said this before, perfection doesn't exist, but we do need to aim for a combination that keeps our blood sugar stable and our mind sharp. That's an important aspect of it, in both counts. The second thing I wanted to talk to you about is meal prepping. Yeah, I know that's a dreaded phrase. Nobody likes to meal prep, or very few people like to meal prep. Now that I have a Blackstone grill, and it's not a shameless plug. I don't represent them in any way, but I enjoy using it. But what it does is it helps beat decision fatigue. Think of it this way: every time we step to the fridge and open up those fridge doors, we're thinking, "All right, what am I going to eat right now, or what am I going to make for dinner?" So we want to eliminate that step in the process. We want to take the guesswork out of the process. And it doesn't need to be complex. Simple is how I do it, because that's the way it has to be for me. I'm not a chef. I'm not a great cook. So keeping it as simple as I possibly can is going to come in handy for sure. So what I do is I pick 2 to 3 different types of protein sources. And if you follow me on social media, it's actually more than 2 or 3. It's more like 4 or 5 and 6. And that can come from different sources: your grilled chicken, your salmon, your lentils, chickpeas, things of that nature. Throw in a few veggies, a carb base, sweet potatoes, quinoa, brown rice. That's my jam. I love foods like that. Mix and match throughout the week. So I take it, I package it up, I throw it in Ziploc bags, I throw it in Tupperware containers, stick it in the fridge. And then when I go to the fridge and I open it up, I'm no longer thinking, what am I going to have for dinner? Because the answer is right there in front of me. I'm pulling out what I want to eat, what sounds good that day, that night, and I'm putting it all together, heating it up, and having a great meal. Because prepping, just even a little bit, doesn't have to be as complex, as grandiose as I do it, the amounts of foods that I throw on the grill, but it does eliminate decision fatigue. It's one less thing to think about be it in the morning or later in the day, in the evening time for dinner, which means more brain power for solving those business problems that we're always having to face, all those fires we got to put out. And one quick thing I mentioned, obviously, containers. Invest in good containers. Ziploc bags are something good as well to keep some high quality frozen veggies on hand. And obviously, throw a little seasoning on there. My wife is big into the dry rub ranch flavor and all that. And I'm starting to like it as well. So, we put that on our chicken especially. The next subject, snacking smart. Some people don't like to snack. I like it, but I try to keep it, in a way that keeps me from hitting those slumps mid-morning, mid-afternoon where I'm hungry when I really shouldn't be. I should be able to get from one meal to the next without being overly hungry, without being famished. So those keys, to me is again, finding snacks that boost focus, not necessarily the blood sugar. So we want to skip the vending machines and those types of fast foods and so forth. But I really want to focus on the protein. So I'm thinking about, Greek yogurt. I'm thinking about hummus, your different peanuts and almonds, which are not just a healthy source of protein, but a healthy source of healthy fats, your omega-3s, your monounsaturated fats, your polyunsaturated fats. Those are the foods that are going to help sustain you longer, but they're also going to give you that energy that we need, that keeps us full, without making us crash or crave coffee number 5. And I don't drink coffee, so I don't even get to 1, much less 5. But all those, unhealthy snacks that we instinctively go to when we're really hungry. If we're waiting until we're hungry to eat, it's too late. And if we're waiting to drink when we're thirsty, then it's also too late, which leads me to the next part of my, the next topic is hydration equaling mental clarity. And most people are walking around, they don't even realize this, mildly dehydrated. Oftentimes, we're waiting to drink when we're thirsty. We shouldn't be waiting that long. If we're thirsty, it means we're at least starting to become dehydrated. And that can lead to brain fog, fatigue, irritability. And that's not exactly the ideal combination for crushing your next meeting, making that next sale. Like I said, if we're waiting until we're thirsty to drink, it's already too late. The goal is we want to aim for about, half an ounce per pound of body weight. So if you're, 150 pounds, we're talking minimum 75 ounces of water. I drink a gallon of water every day. I'm a guy that can get thirsty real quick because I'm very active, not just working out, but training clients and moving here and moving there and going for walks, going for runs and doing all that. So I tend to get thirsty real easily. So to offset that, to combat that, I'm making sure that I'm drinking a lot of water throughout the day. Now I know that a lot of you don't like to just drink plain water. I get that sometimes as well. But you can add lemon, you can add cucumber, maybe a little mint if you're into that to give it a little bit of a flavor boost. And obviously replenishing your electrolytes. There's a lot of different powders and so forth. Just be careful with the synthetic sugars that we can put into our drinks to add some flavor and replenish the electrolytes as well. All right, so here's one that's going to probably, I don't want to say upset a few people, but maybe wrinkle a few noses, if you will. And that's to not skip meals, but to time them strategically. And I can go much more in depth. So if you ever want to have a one-to-one conversation with me, we can certainly do that about what I mean by timing them strategically, or specifically what that would mean for you. It's understanding that, we need to use food as fuel, which means it needs to fit within our daily schedule as well, because it's going to allow us to finish strong as we go throughout the day. We need steady fuel to keep our brains working, to keep us moving and keeping us active. The trick is to time your meals around your schedule. You got a big presentation at 2:00. Eat a light, balanced lunch around noon so you're not so sluggish or really hungry going into your meeting. To me, I try to eat every 2 to 3 to 4 hours with meals that keep me just satiated enough where I don't feel bloated, but I'm not super hungry and it's going to get me to the next meal. And of course, as always, keep it simple, keep it predictable, and most of all, keep it nourishing. Yes, I know there's some, like I said earlier, going to wrinkle some noses. There's some people out there that they do, and a lot of people who do intermittent fasting, and I'm not putting it down. I've had clients who have gone that route because it worked within the framework of their schedule. So it made sense to have them do that. But we still have to be smart about what we eat, how much we eat, and really when we eat it as well, because that's going to keep us going strong throughout the day. We all work hard. We all play hard. We want to make sure we give our bodies what it needs, to keep up with that type of pace that we all keep each and every day. All right. Biggest takeaway from all this is you don't need to be perfect. Just need to be consistent. Small intentional changes in how we eat, what we eat, and when we eat it can lead to big shifts in how we show up at work and in life. And we know that's very important to us, so we may as well do the things that are help us get, satisfy that and get to our goals. All right, that's all I have for you today, folks. Hope you took away a nugget of knowledge from what I shared with you today. Make sure once again to leave a review. 5-star reviews are always great. Of course, hit that subscribe button. Do me a solid and get that done. And share this show far and wide because, as I always say, there's many people out there that need to learn fitness is our business. Thanks so much for listening. I hope what we've shared on this show truly resonates with you. If you want to learn more about the health and fitness services I provide, head to my website, fernandezfit.com. If you're ready to connect with me about health and fitness coaching, send an email to info@fernandezfit.com or a text to 814-504-7774. And of course, you can find me all across social media, Victor Fernandez 123 on Facebook, Fernandez Fit on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, as well as the Healthy Lives, Healthy Business channel on YouTube. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, always remember, fitness is our business.